Thank you for tuning in, and it is the RT Boxing Show, folks. I'm your host, Mr. A, and still the WBO welterweight champion Jeff Horn. He has defeated Gary Corcoran due to a corner thrown in the towel, a nasty cut over his right eye. I think it was caused mainly by punches, maybe a little head graze here and there, but Jeff Horn was tagging that eye. I had this fight. It got stopped in the 11th. I had it 10 rounds to Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn was clean sweeping all rounds. Now, Corcoran did make it competitive, a little action packed for the eyeballs. A good fight to watch. But Jeff Horn's movement, that in and out hurricane jerk, off rhythm, time punching, just the moving around and then the punching, like I said, the punching alone, he was working behind the jab really well. And Gary's whole plan was to kind of make it an inside ugly fight. But Jeff Horn could hold his own in that type of fight as well too. Like, your best bet is probably to be able to outbox Jeff Horn from the outside. If you're to beat him, that's when he's most, with all that herking and jerking. I believe you could use that against him. But in this fight, his jab was clearly the defining weapon of the fight. The Horn worked behind it with his great movement. He was just able to keep Gary off rhythm, kept resetting his feet, and just picking him off with the jab, and then the right behind the jab. And then as Gary's biggest his biggest mistake was he was coming in a lot, but he wasn't working behind a jab. He was just coming in. But when he did get in, he didn't work too often. It seemed like his game plan was to fight, like he was hoping to catch Jeff Horn as Jeff, because whenever they did get in close, Gary would be fighting, there'd be a good fight. And as Jeff Horn would back away, his hands would be down a lot, and Gary would hit him. And it seemed like that's when Gary threw his most offensive punches, when Horn was backing away. Here, get himself in without throwing punches, eat some punches, and then hit Jeff as he's backing up. So Jeff got a wind of it, that and the inside game. So he just started really staying on the outside and picking them apart. Like, no round was different than the second round wasn't different than round 7. Round 8 wasn't different than round 4. It was Gary trying to press pressure. He was putting on the pressure, but he wasn't boxing himself in. So it was a rough fight, because what Gary would do, like when they did tie up, before the referee could even get in there a break, he'd just start punching, like, oh shit, the fight's continuing, But Horn, he was doing some good inside game. He was doubling up on the hooks. At one point, I think it was around 4 or 5 in the inside game. In the rhythm of the fight. Round 1 was a kind of fill out round. Jeff was doing his movement. Round 2, Corcoran got a little more like, hey, I'm gonna use my size and strength. Started working on well, not really working, but bodying him the first minute. So like I said, Jeff Horn could hold his own he's a big solid guy, a big frame. So he was, like I said, for just as much as Gary was doing good body work, I say for the first 6-7 rounds, good body work. But Jeff Horn was if you want to say Gary, it wasn't, but if you want to say Gary was doing an A, Jeff was doing a B and an A from the outside, you know. So he was winning double, you know. So he was still, that's how he was winning the whole fight easily. But if you want to say a competitive whitewash, you know, he was clean sweeping Gary, but in an action fight, but clean sweeping him. But as the momentum of the fight was changing, Jeff Horn was jabbing him. Gary came with the pressure, and then Jeff Horn started moving more. But in round 4, he started really countering with the uppercuts. You know, he allowed Gary to come in, boom, boom, throw something, then, you know, and then in round 6, he was just started slipping rights. But it was either. The fight took a little dull, probably I think around 7. It was more of a Gary couldn't do much, so Horn was like, "Hey, I saved some energy," so he just kind of moved around and back-footed a lot. But Horn was able to, for the most part, keep Gary off rhythm with his jab, move in and out of the hurricane jerk. So either Gary would come rushing in and he'll get countered with some hooks and uppercuts, or he'll get caught first with a 1-2. Horn had him pretty much, if not resetting his feet, off rhythm of his offensive attack, and that, like I said, there were some bumps of the head caused it was just an inside fight, pretty rough. But a lot of the cuts, like I said, Gary had a cut over his right eye, which eventually. Was it the right eye? Yeah, I don't know, but Gary had a cut. It eventually stopped the fight. Horn had a cut, I guess, reopened from his training practice. And so that's pretty much how the fight ended. Like I said, the only attack Gary really showed any positive work from planning, like I said, was when he did get inside. If they weren't clinching and holding, he was just digging to the body. As soon as they were clinching and they immediately would let go, he just 1-2 or some type of hit right when Jeff let go. Because Jeff, like I said, he always, the thing with Jeff's, that movement, you're so winning with it. You're a winner, that when you do retreat, you go back to that winning stance sometimes, and his restart stage ain't the best end stage, you know what I mean? So if he used to throwing punches like this, when he goes back to that and he gets caught a lot, it's just who he is, you know. I don't know if they'll be able to fix it, maybe throw a hand up once in a while, but he kept getting caught that way, and that was the only way Gary was able to do offense. So, but besides that, Gary didn't punch himself in. Or when he did get in, it was either he did a lot of rough howling tactics, but it wasn't no really punching with the free hand and nothing. It was just all holding down, doing stuff. You know, it wasn't inside fighting. The only way, his only inside shots came when Horn pulled away or something. That's the only time he fired away. It was weird. You know, he worked so hard to get inside. But he could have done more work, I think. He kept getting resetted, kept getting off time. With Horn had him. Horn was using great lateral movement the whole ring. I mean the whole 11 rounds. You know, like I said, some rounds he'll mix it up a little bit. Then some rounds he'll just completely really go in and out with them jabs, counter uppercuts, and then some rounds he was taking just back foot boxing, really just jabbing, not doing the 1-2s, not doing the 1-2s in the body, the counters. He was just all ones. So he did a pretty good mixing up of a attack movement for 11 rounds. He said he felt off, so you know, it was a good attack, good performance. You know, after the fight, thank you for. I should say thank you for tuning in. You know, this is the Double RT Boxing Show. Thank you for tuning in. After the fight, Bob Arum was in the ring with them, and they interviewed him. They said, well, the commentators interviewed all three of them, or like not all three, but the Horn and Arum. So Horn, how do you feel? Blah 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 blah. And then he said that. So is Vegas your next trip for Bud here as well? If that's what the fans or the people want to see, you know, after all, it is entertainment. So I guess that's next. So what do you, a quick thought of that? Well, you figure you gotta, according to the box rec, Horn has an inch height, but it's giving up 2 inches in reach, and that is where I said to beat Horn, your best bet is to box him from the outside, even though he's real tricky with his movement and all that stuff. All his movement, he's pretty good at punching off it. He's pretty good at it, but there's so much punching you can do off it. So you can kind of just, you know, just sit back and, you know, and if you got a good hard 1-2 and you got a good reach and movement of yourself like Crawford, you know, you could kind of force Jeff Horn to slow down and box, because I don't think he could do all that stuff to someone who could. I don't know. I don't see it, but you know, that's just my first assessment of that fight, you know, from what I know of the fighters. But that is Jeff Horn defeating Gary Corcoran in 11 rounds corner stoppage, so it goes down as a TKO, and remaining the WBO welterweight champion. So I guess in April it is gonna, well, it's likely, the odds are likely that it's going to be Terrence Bud Crawford being the second defense for Jeff Horn and his WBO welterweight championship. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your time and support. If you're new viewers, thank you for becoming for new subscribers. That's nice of you. Help the show grow.